the roof of the world, Ladakh erupts. Police bullets, burning offices, and hunger strikes turned into India's bloodiest mountain uprising. New Delhi blames activists, locals call betrayal, and youth vow no retreat. On a frontier where China's armies wait across the peaks, India now faces revolt from within. At the roof of the world, between China to the east and Pakistan to the west, lies Ladakh, a high-altitude desert plateau in the Himalayas that has long been India's shield against its rivals. But this week, Ladakh's danger was not from abroad, it came from within. Leh, the regional capital, witnessed its bloodiest day in modern history. At least 4 protesters were killed and dozens were injured when youth-led demonstrations spiraled into violence. Police opened fire, government vehicles were set ablaze, the office of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party went up in flames. The protests erupted after 2 elderly hunger strikers, fasting for Ladakh's autonomy, were hospitalized. Anger swept through the camps. Chering Dorje, co-chairman of the Leh Apex body, which was formed to collectively agitate for various demands related to the region's autonomy, identity and development, described the chaos.
We tried hard to control the young people, but they became uncontrollable.
India's Ministry of Home Affairs confirmed its forces used live fire in self-defense, and the situation was brought under control by 4 p.m. The unruly mob attacked the police personnel, in which more than 30 police or CRPF personnel were injured. The mob continued to destroy the public property and attack the police personnel. In self-defense, police had to resort to firing, in which unfortunately some casualties are reported. The killings turned a simmering protest movement into a flashpoint of national concern. Authorities have imposed a curfew in the region. New Delhi pointed fingers at one man, Sonam Wangchuk, the engineer-turned-activist who has led Ladakh's struggle for years through hunger strikes and marches. Wangchuk's life story inspired the Bollywood blockbuster film 3 Idiots. Officials accused him of inciting unrest with references to the Arab Spring and Nepal's youth-led protests. Frailty from 15 days without food did not stop Wangchuk from pushing back.
Friends, today is the 15th day of our hunger strike. I am very sad to tell you that today in Leh City, violence and destruction has started on a large scale. Many offices have been destroyed and cars have been set on fire. Before that, let me tell you that yesterday, 2 people who were on hunger strike had to be taken to the hospital in a very serious condition. This caused a lot of anger among the people. Today, a shutdown has been announced in the whole of Leh. And then the youth have come out in thousands. Some people think that they were our supporters. I would say that more than our supporters, although the whole of Ladakh is a supporter of this issue, but it was the anger of the youth, a kind of Gen Z revolution that brought them to the streets. They have been unemployed for 5 years. One after the other, they are being kept out of their jobs, and then Ladakh is not given protection. I have always said that this is a recipe for unrest. This is a recipe for social unrest in society, that you keep the unemployed youth and take away their democratic rights. Today, there is no democratic institutions here. And the 6th schedule that was announced, the promise that was given, was also not kept. For now, I don't want to go into this. I appeal to the youth of Ladakh, whoever they may be, do not take this path of violence. This is a failure of my 5 years of efforts. If we have been fighting peacefully for so many years, traveling, holding hunger strikes, and then in the end, if we commit violence, then this is not our way. Therefore, I again request the youth to take the path of peace and make our point to the government. And I want the government to listen to us. When they make peace unheard, once, twice, 5 times, if someone walks from Leh to Delhi peacefully, and if someone makes it unheard, then such situations arise. At this time, I would like to tell the government to be sensitive about Ladakh. And I would like to tell the youth to take the path of peace. I want to tell the whole country that this path is not shown by me. It is youth venting out anger, but this is not the time to create violence. It is time to have a peaceful conversation with the government.
Hours later, Wangchuk ended his fast. However, Ladakh's Lieutenant Governor Kavinder Gupta accused protest leaders of crossing a line.
In a democratic system, protesting is a right. However, it must be done in a peaceful manner. For the past 2 days, attempts were been made to incite people, and the protest held here was compared to those held in Bangladesh and Nepal. This smells of a conspiracy behind the protest.
Blame and denial deepen the gulf between Ladakh and New Delhi, yet the roots of discontent go back years. In August 2019, the Narendra Modi government revoked Article 370, stripping Jammu and Kashmir of its special status. The state was split into two. Jammu and Kashmir retained a legislature. Ladakh was severed, ruled directly from Delhi without an elected assembly.
Wangchuk was among the optimists who supported the BJP-led centre government's decision and congratulated Prime Minister Modi for taking Ladakh under the direct control of New Delhi. He then wrote on X,
Ladakh thanks Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, for fulfilling Ladakh's long-standing dream. It was exactly 30 years ago in August 1989 that Ladakhi leaders launched a movement for UT status. Thank you all who helped in this democratic decentralization.
Most of the Ladakhis, 90% of whom are scheduled tribes, see this as loss of representation, loss of voice, and fear of losing land and jobs to outsiders. Their demand since then has been clear: either full statehood or protection under the 6th schedule of India's constitution, which grants tribal majority regions autonomy. 10 regions in India's northeast enjoy this safeguard. Ladakh does not. Leaders in Ladakh claim that in 2020, in the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council elections, Prime Minister Modi's ruling BJP had it in their manifesto as point number 1 that Ladakh would be taken under the 6th schedule. They alleged that the party completely took a U-turn. Jigmet Paljor, coordinator of the apex body, said immediately after violence broke out in the region, he called for peace and informed that their organization withdrew the hunger strike. This is the bloodiest day in the history of Ladakh. They martyred our young people, the general public who were on the streets to support the demands of the strike. The people were tired of fake promises for 5 years by the government, and people were filled with anger. The economic picture makes the anger worse. Ladakh boasts one of India's highest literacy rates, 97%. Yet a 2023 survey from India's Ministry of Statistics and Programme Implementation found that more than 1 in 4 graduates are unemployed, double the national average. This week, unrest came true. Ladakh's protests, once defined by hunger strikes, turned into a Gen Z uprising, echoing the youth revolts in South Asia that toppled governments in Nepal and Bangladesh. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah immediately reacted to the protest, saying Ladakh felt betrayed by the centre, the same as J&K.
Ladakh wasn't even promised statehood. They celebrated UT status in 2019, and they feel betrayed and angry. Now try to imagine how betrayed and disappointed we in J&K feel when the promise of statehood to J&K remains unfulfilled, even though we have gone about demanding it democratically, peacefully, and responsibly.
Former Jammu and Kashmir CM and People's Democratic Party President Mehbooba Mufti said it was time the centre moved beyond crisis management.
It's time the Government of India undertakes a sincere and thorough appraisal of what has truly changed since 2019. This video isn't from the Kashmir Valley, considered the epicenter of unrest, but from the heart of Ladakh, where angry protesters have set police vehicles and a BJP office on fire. Leh, a region long known for its peaceful and measured protests, is now witnessing a disturbing shift toward violent demonstrations. People seem to have lost patience, feel betrayed, insecure, and let down by unfulfilled promises. It is imperative that the government move beyond day-to-day crisis management and address the root causes of this discontent urgently and transparently.
For Delhi, Ladakh is not just another statehood dispute, it is a frontier of global rivalry. In 2020, Indian and Chinese troops fought hand-to-hand in Ladakh's Galwan Valley. At least 20 Indians and 4 Chinese were killed. The battles triggered a military build-up that still endures. Tanks, artillery, and thousands of troops dug in at icy outposts. Ladakh's mountain passes and supply routes are vital for India's defense against China. The Siachen Glacier, the world's highest battlefield, sits on this terrain. New Delhi fears loosening its grip here could mean weakening its hold on the frontier. Yet Ladakh's unrest now poses a new internal threat. Talks between Ladakhi leaders and Delhi are scheduled for October 6th, but after bloodshed, trust is paper-thin. The hunger strike is suspended, the Home Ministry has hardened its language, and Ladakh's youth are no longer willing to wait. Ladakh is no longer just a land of monasteries and glaciers. It has become a crucible of discontent, where local identity, democratic rights, and geopolitical strategy collide. Once a symbol of India's frontier strength, Ladakh today is turning into South Asia's newest flashpoint, a region where the cry for dignity rises as loud as the rumble of troops guarding its borders.